So this is the new landing page. Again, um, I made the landing page originally on January 9th, but I built it last week. And so I had this lovely little graphic that Nathan did with the Zoom Inclusion Ministry with the hug. I just absolutely love that. So this is the landing page, and it's just a little frame overview of everything that's in here. And if you look on the left screen, this is a navigation menu you can use to move within the book of the guidebook. So it's all kind of hooked together. And if you slide down, you'll see under contents, these are sub pages basically of this main landing page. And when you go to these pages, so basically there's a welcome uh, I have Ben's name there and then Ben's congregation, which a lot of the stuff is kind of out of their congregation, even though a lot of this stuff is also stuff that it sounds like you all had input into. Um, and then there's sort of just a general how to use the guidebook and connection to this particular group with the Google group link. And then this is also, we came up with this kind of it's branding of congregational interconnections. So kind of a point back to Don Skinner and the Interconnections magazine. But things like this are a congregation's doing something cool or has developed something cool. The congregational interconnections is kind of our branding to say, hey, this isn't UUA generated content, but it is really great stuff from your sibling congregations from somewhere in the UUA. We also have a similar brand for curricula in our faith development that you'll see more and more of. So anyway, so this is kind of signaling to folks, it's like, oh, this isn't the UUA like telling you what to do. It's like this is another congregation sharing things. And then underneath are the different sub it's like a chapter, and then there's sections underneath a couple of the chapters if you want to go a little deeper. So I'm not going to go into like every single detail on this, but basically I took Ben's organization of pages and stuff, and I kind of organized them the way my brain works. So there's kind of a general, like, what is it? Let's get an overview. Let's go a little bit deeper into what Zoom Ministry is. And then there's also like an initial checklist. So I'm imagining a team of people is looking at this and they kind of go through those first two items. And then there's a tips and tools for Zoom Inclusion Ministry. There's a section that goes a little bit deeper into the inclusion part as far as microaggressions, and there's a whole beautiful page on uh, making things more accessible for deaf and or hearing impaired folks. Um, and then we have the bootleg copies. Don't tell our General Assembly folks of the two workshops that were created for General Assembly. So the Zoom transformation, I believe, is the 2023 workshop, and the Power of Multi-Platform Ministry is 2024. So those might be familiar to you. But now if you want to tell someone, share it with someone, it's a lot easier to link to these pages. And then you'll see here, there's a print-friendly version. So you can, anything that's, of course, it won't print out the whole video, but you can click on that and you'll get a PDF with all of the text that's in this whole document, all these different pages together. It'll print them in the order that we have here. And then it also has a little navigation that leads you to the next section. So there's the Why Zoom Inclusion Ministry. I'll go ahead and go there just because it's a really fabulous resource. So again, you can see there's some fancy website things. We've got different colors we can use. For accessibility, we have to build our web pages with header one, header two, in order so that people who are visually impaired can use screen readers. And so some of the formatting we have is to make it accessible in that way. And then we also, um, we use images to kind of make it more engaging for non-visually impaired folks, but everything also has um, all the images have like a screen reader actually, I can show you this. All the images have a description of what it is um, with the image too, if you have a screen reader. I'm in the editing mode, so you can sort of see the little bit of the back end here. So anyway, I also kind of this is kind of again, someone who's just starting out with this Zoom inclusion ministry idea. There's a little bit of why should we do it? Kind of touching on the transactional reasons rather than the spiritual, um, as well as the spiritual reasons, but also there's links to these two webinars or workshops that they can use as webinars. So we're really trying to put forward to folks that, this stuff is available. This is great stuff to read, to watch together and to see how you can apply it to your own congregation. And then if you go to the webinar pages, you'll see there's a little bit of a what it's about, and also Ben spent some time putting timestamps. So if, let's say, you know the video well and you want to show a certain piece, you'll know that, hey, if I want to see worship enhancements for Zoom inclusion, you can just forward the video to 18 minutes, 19 seconds. So, and what we may end up doing the kind of the spiritual reflection to go with these videos because there's some really great content with these. But I'll leave that to you, Ben and the folks at Star King to figure out how they want to present that. And once that's created, I can also create those web pages. So I'm going to go back to the side menu and we're going to look at the Zoom inclusion ministry tools. It's actually, I can probably change that. So in here, I have a connection to this group. I just put the link in there so people can join the uh, the Google group. And I've got the Zoom bombing tools, which there's the original article, and then we updated it this past year. And then there's sections. There's a really, if you're familiar with the Google documents, there's a couple of setup illustrations and kind of what cameras and where we put them and that sort of thing. So a kind of a technical technology tips section, the way Star King does it, and then sample policy, and then Ben also shared the Zoom greeter log that other congregations can adapt for their own use. And then going into the Ministry of Inclusion section, which is more into the inclusion, which is really the deep part of this. It's not just technology. It's like, what does it mean to really be inclusive and to look at the relationship and creating connections between those on Zoom, the Zoomies, and those who are in the sanctuary, the roomies. And I love those two terms because it really does provide some equivalence to the two groups by giving them similar names. It doesn't seem to privilege one over the other as you describe them. So again, this is a little bit of a overview of the ministry part of inclusion with a little bit of a from what I can tell, correct me if I'm wrong, Ben, but this refers to one of the workshop videos, The Awakening, the Assessment, and how Star King kind of went through the process. So that's repeated here in a different format, so people can take it in differently. Um, and then there are subsections where we go into microsignals, uh, accessibility for deaf and hearing impaired folks. And then Ben did a homily early on in this process. And so we published that homily as well. So again, all these resources are kind of bundled together in this one document. So that's kind of a brief tour. I'm guessing someone, if they didn't already, I can put the link to the landing page, but let me stop sharing here.